Maxo Kream just dropped today.
Yeah.
Look at us being right on top of this one. Um, and shout out Maxo, right? So he's 27, been making like dropping mixtapes since 2012. So not necessarily new to the game, but I don't believe we reviewed Brandon Banks a few years back, right? The first Rock Nation album.
No, we did actually. I don't think you
Oh, we
got to it
did.
on time, but we did listen to that one. Yes, his
So
second
Dave did.
album following his debut album, Pumpkin from 2018. And actually, looking on Wikipedia, it says he's 31. So
Oh,
he not either way, he's not a new on the scene. He's not a young buck, I wouldn't say. Obviously,
right.
Houston, Texas rapper, not as famous as Travis Scott or Megan Thee Stallion, but I still think he's quite notable. And I think anyone who listens to him at this point would know that because he's got a really solid body of work through 3 albums. I think that's kind of undeniable.
Yeah, I mean, going into this and obviously not having listened to the last one, I was unsure if I was going to leave this really impressed. And I have to say, the first two tracks off this album, I was like, oh no, this is going to be a tough 40 minutes to get through. And then we get to They Say, and I felt like the album really picked up for me. And I was really impressed with this. I think not only did his delivery grow on me as I worked my way through, but the features he gets out of people on this and just the overall like production on the album after the first two tracks really worked for me. What'd you think of Weight of the World though?
Yeah, I liked it. I like Brandon Banks a lot too. Probably like Brandon Banks a little bit more. I actually had Meet Again, one of the singles off that album, in the top 10 for 2019. So obviously, I've had a high opinion of him for some time now. Uh, but I still think all those trademarks that you expect for Maxo Cream, if you're up on his music, they're still here. Like you said, his flow, it's not usually the most like a complicated flow, but I still think it's like really fun. And he obviously knows how to match it with good production in like a really effective way. Like he knows how he likes to rap. I just think it sounds good. And more importantly, he's a really engaging storyteller. And I think he actually backs it up with introspective lyrics. When we talk about like rappers from the streets, often the lyrics are more inconsistent, but I think he's always had this strength. He speaks a lot about his family. Like actually on the first track, uh, Christian, he remarks on whether his sick grandma got COVID from him, things like that coming up. Uh, he's always kind of think looked inward while still not being afraid to speak on his
Mhm.
more illicit past, as it were. Obviously, he did do time for moving weight and all that. So all the trademarks are still here. But as you said, there are some notable features on
Yeah,
Weight of the World,
yeah,
and
man.
they deliver.
I was. I mean, I have to say we got a lot of ASAP Rocky this weekend, and this was probably my favorite showing from him out of all the different tracks we heard him on. Obviously, on the Young Thug album as well
Right.
that we're going to get to. But I thought he was great on Streets Alone. And I thought they played off each other really, really well.
Hell yeah. Can't wait for the next ASAP solo album, man. Really, really need that to come out from Rocky.
Yeah, but he's great on this. I thought Tyler was like a. I mean, he's the
Christ.
first feature on this and like
Yeah.
leads a run of features, but he's just absolutely fire and maybe having like the best rap year out of anybody right now.
Yeah, honestly, that's probably the right take. Notably, Big Persona was also produced by Tyler, the Creator. Everyone knows Tyler's an underrated producer. He doesn't produce all that often, but when he does, stands out. It's really funny, like that song, Big Persona,
Hmm.
just this big beat, and then Tyler just flexing on everyone for the hook,
Yep.
and it kind of reminded me of his Hot 97 interview he did after Call Me If You Get Lost came out, where he's just basically just bragging about all his accomplishments and telling all the haters to fuck off. And I was like, oh, you actually kind of distilled that into a guest feature. That sounds really awesome. But either
Yeah.
way, like Tyler can match Maxo's energy in terms of being really brash and
Yep.
confident, and mean that beat. So I think that song's awesome.
Yeah, man. I actually feel like this whole run in the middle from Big Persona up and through the Freddie Gibbs song, "What I Look Like," or the Gibbs guest
Mhm.
verse, just really works for me the whole way through. There's a couple others after that that I really liked as well, but I just thought that run was by far my favorite. Um, what other tracks stood out to you though?
Yeah, I like local Joker, which is in that run there. Um,
Mhm.
again, like there's kind of like a matter of factness with Maxo's lyricism that can often come across. Like he can get his message, across in I think a really economical way. Again, he doesn't have the most complicated flow, but he seems to still say a lot, uh, which is cool. And I also really like Greener Knots, which is produced by Hit Boy. I think that beat kind of really picks it up towards the end.
Yeah, Greener Knots is one that stood out to me. I also thought Mama's Purse sounded pretty good. I, I think when I first was listening to him, I was a little bit like his like delivery or maybe his vocal performance throughout the album reminds me a little bit, and like not necessarily because of anything other than the way that they deliver, but of 21 because he's very like
Mm,
monotone at times and just kind of like
yes.
flat, but then it just really works for him. And like
Yeah.
their voices are so different, and obviously like 21 has like a low but still kind of like high pitch at times, but he's just a total like baritone
Right.
Maxo, and it's really just cool to like tune into him. And I also heard I forgot which track it was on. I think it was maybe the third one there. Sorry, they say where he
Right.
drops like a Scooby Doo line at one point, and I just was like, oh, he can like bring some funny lines at times too. So
Yeah.
versatile, but also his own style for sure. Really
Yeah.
appreciate this
It's like a
album.
different spin on Griselda. If you find the Griselda guys appealing, that type of rap, that type of lyricism, Max was very much cut from the same cloth, but still has his own identity, that Houston spin, all that.
Yeah. Well, I think we enjoyed the Max, so we're probably gonna put a song of his on our Nostalgia Best of 2021 on Spotify.